you are the president at Noblelift now, which is a recent announcement. So congratulations.
Thank you.
First off, right? Yeah. So tell us a little bit, I guess, what brought you to Noblelift, and also a little bit about Noblelift too for people maybe that aren't familiar.
Yeah, that's a great place to start. Maybe just to back up a little bit, into the why Noble and me joining the company and so forth. I think a lot of it has to do with things we talked about at Modex in the past, which is, I really see so much change going on in the industry. And I think last time we spoke, I was talking about this like convergence, where, you see all these different things that are kind of coming together that kind of lend themselves to some really kind of punctuated change. And that's happened to some degree. I mean, I think, if you go in warehouses and facilities throughout North America, you're seeing a lot of changes over some of the tech coming into the space. But realistically, where we're at right now, and this kind of leads into me being at Noblelift, is that in the next 10 years, if you and I are sitting at a show like this, it is going to be so radically different that I don't think necessarily we can predict it today. But I think the amount of change and the pace of that change, Kevin, is it's likely that we almost will not recognize this hall versus where it's at today. Like, I think when we walk around the booth today, it's going to be, or the facility today here at McCormick, it's going to almost feel like the Smithsonian 10 years from now when we kind of look back at this. And for future reference, we can record. This is recorded, so we can come back to it.
It's on tape. Yeah.
We can come back and see if my words are correct. But that kind of leads me to Noblelift and why Noble. And the thing, a lot of people don't necessarily know Noblelift and what they do, because a lot of it is behind the scenes. So globally, Noblelift is the largest OEM manufacturer of lift trucks in the world. So a lot of what they make at their factories are made for other brands. So that's core to their business model. They kind of cut their teeth on in Class 3 and in pallet trucks. So a lot of people also don't know this, but they're the world's largest manufacturer of hand pallet jacks.
Really?
Yeah.
Interesting. Okay.
So that was, I remember when I was young, you could get a jack for like whatever it was, maybe $2.99 was an okay one, and then like $3.99 was the premium.
Yeah.
There was Bishaman and BT, and the dealer channel was always selling the good one. Right? And then it became super price aggressive, and it was just cutthroat, where people were selling $199 manual jacks. And in that environment, Noblelift was able to thrive and become the dominant global player in hand pallet trucks, and started providing them to a lot of OEMs, which was the seed of them now building forklifts for a lot of manufacturers. So part of my coming to Noblelift has to do with that. They're a high-quality manufacturer that can make just about anything. And they're very skilled at that, having gone through that kind of battle of what kind of their origin story. So that was important to me. And then another aspect of Noblelift that I thought was really important was that that they have this kind of culture of because they have that OEM business. They have this culture of collaboration. It's not really. We hear a lot of stuff about like partnership and collaboration because the industry is disruptive. I think most people on your podcast today are going to bring up one of those two words. It's going to be, we're going to collaborate, we're going to partner, and but realistically, I think the mindset has not evolved yet. I think there's so much disruption that's coming at us that is unpredictable, that feeling of wanting to partner and to collaborate is coming from a place of kind of almost fear for a lot of manufacturers in this space. And it's about like protecting themselves a little bit or advancing themselves. And I think the mindset change that this industry needs, and I'm starting to see some of it, which is, more the idea of collaboration and partnership to help the other company reach their potential and protect their markets and evolve themselves, and almost kind of putting those partnerships, those joint ventures and those collaborations, just like we've talked for many years about putting the customer first.
Right.
It's like about putting your partner first and putting their interests first, and paying it forward a little bit, and realizing that nobody's going to control this.
Yeah.
It's too big, it's too disruptive, it's too unpredictable. So collaboration is key, and Noblelift has a history of that. So we have a global manufacturer that has tremendous capability and a collaborative culture. And I wanted to be, later in my career here, I've been doing this for now 35 years. I think we've talked about this before. I think this is now 27. We'll have to check the tape. At my 27th MHI show, I've been doing this a long time.
Been around for a little bit, yeah.
Been around for a little bit, and I mean, I want to spend the rest of my career like being out on that, kind of on that edge and trying to help people accelerate and collaborate in a genuine way that's putting their partners first to help bring value to customers that watch your podcast, because the fact is that at the customer level, they're also going to have to deal with all sorts of incredible change over the next decade. So they're going to need to partner with vendors and organizations that have a culture that really puts their interests first, rather than trying to close them off into some kind of ecosystem of protection. And that's really where I'd like to take the Noblelift brand over the next several years. Yeah,
interesting, great, and I love that thinking there, and I love too the idea of that. What we see now here is going to be like a museum, basically.
Like a museum,
yeah. Interesting. One question there I'll ask you though: 10 years from now,
right?
Does the show get smaller?
I think or
does it get bigger?
I think the show actually changes tremendously. If I had to prognosticate right now, because we are on tape, we're going to take a gamble here, right?
Yeah.
Because nobody knows.
Let's roll the dice.
But I think you're going to see. I think you're going to see a lot less equipment on the show, and you're going to see it be more like kind of a conference setting, because the building blocks and the puzzle pieces will be less important, because the technology will provide so much value that will be more about, and not necessarily the technology we have today on the floor.
Yeah.
I think that the industry is going to transform in some ways that we really don't quite understand yet, because the big set pieces that are going to be paratrooped and dropped in to this industry over the next 10 years are going to fundamentally change things.
Yeah.
But I think less equipment, more conversation, some very different things will be here, like I said, and this will look like a museum in retrospect.
Interesting. Well, we'll hopefully in 10 years we'll be coming to you live from whenever that looks
Wherever
like.
It looks like. That's right. Who
definitely.
knows?
So tell us a little bit about. I understand you're coming here to the booth with some breaking news.
Oh, breaking news.
Yeah. What is that?
Yeah, so I guess along those spirit of kind of collaboration and thinking about the future of the industry and so forth, we're announcing a new initiative today on your podcast.
Okay, let's do it.
So it's called Project Alpha.
Project Alpha.
Okay,
I like the sound of it already.
Yeah, so it's people can reference it at alpha.nobleliftna.com.
Okay.
There's also an app that people can go on and check out what it's all about. But essentially what it is that it's the world's first open source forklift. Okay? So this is so counterintuitive to the industry. The industry, once again, about like that kind of idea of, protecting their ecosystem and their market. That's been the history of the material handling equipment industry for as long as it's been around.
Right.
Which is if you want parts or this, that, and the other thing, technical documentation or whatever, you have to come to us. So the idea was to put a lot of population of equipment out into the field because it would drive parts and service revenue because they only had one place to go.
Yeah.
Right? Now, as technology comes in and disrupts and changes everything around us, you will see more open source, kind of ideas come into the space. And we're kind of trying to lead on that with what is a global sustainability project. So Project Alpha is our Alpha truck that's at our booth.
Okay.
It's that open source concept is going to help us over the next couple of years try to drive the cost down of a lithium forklift, the most popular model of forklift that's on the planet, which is a 5,000 pound pneumatic.
Yeah.
To try to get as much power as we can into that project to drive down the operating cost and help people transition from IC to E. Okay, so the other part of it that's really interesting is that the Alpha also has a sister product, which is an IC forklift.
Right.
They're identical.
Yeah.
And they actually share the same supply chain for the majority of the parts, and that helps drive down the parts cost. And then also the IC truck can be retrofitted later to be lithium. So using the power of open source, I think is going to be very powerful. I think that if we're successful, it might actually cross different industries, that other people might try this approach, which is really kind of turning the typical manufacturer's paradigm upside down and taking advantage of a community of, to kind of go after a project with a mission.
Interesting. I love the name, Project Alpha, definitely, and definitely want to check out the website and learn all about it. But I think it's such an interesting idea, right? Because I mean, if you're open sourcing it, essentially, you're kind of, I mean, you're sharing your secrets, so to speak, right?
Right. You're basically opening yourself up and becoming vulnerable, and that kind of ties into that idea of putting, your partner first, not necessarily having your partner or your collaborator be a stepping stone to fit your own ends, is really kind of looking at the big picture of that there is so much disruptive change that I think the companies that embrace it in a way that is truly collaborative and not so much worried about their own interests, but the interests of the industry, their customer especially, and the planet, those, I think they're going to be in a position of thought leadership that is going to make up for whatever the traditional hit they might suffer from intellectual property or something.
Yeah, it's very interesting, and I love the idea, and I love taking that idea of partnership and collaboration to essentially the next level. Right?
That's what it is.
Yeah, and I think that's a great thing, and I'm gonna be really interested to see like how that goes and some of the things that come out of that, because I think that allows for even further innovation, I think, in the space as well.
That's the idea, is to accelerate innovation. And I mean, to put a kind of personal plug into some other things that follow through on this.
Sure.
I also started, I think you've seen some posts from me on Blue Dojo AI. So that's kind of a passion project that I have where I'm helping young startups in the technology space, especially AI-related companies, come into the supply chain and intralogistics community, and connect them, kind of old school, but like connect them with like a human networking, not VC money and all that kind of stuff, but really helping them get a leg up in the space and find true collaborations with people that are established players, but could benefit from some of these young companies coming in. And we just announced on Blue Dojo, which is Blue Dojo AI.
There we go.
There's my shameless plug, right? Is we launched it? We have a new member. They're actually here today in the startup pavilion.
I think I saw that this morning.
Yep, that's Tendril.io, and they have a very interesting platform that they offer for only $30 a month. Guys that look at watch your podcast that are in the warehouse space and logistics in particular should check out Tendril.io. It's a really cool platform and very low cost at only $30 a month.
Definitely.
And part of that effort, which is, once again, really not a commercial thing. It's about advancing and accelerating and connecting people, different from what the traditional approach is in the space. And then I think also along that line is we have another announcement that I have to make on the podcast this morning. So I've got a double one.
Okay, all right, let's hear it.
It's a double.
Let's hear it.
We're going to double dip. So the other one is that we have a collaboration with Gather AI. So Gather AI is here, right?
Yeah. Okay.
So Sandkelp, I think you've talked to Sandkelp before.
Yeah, and we're going to have him on the live stream tomorrow.
Okay,
actually.
cool.
Yeah.
He's fantastic. He's amazing. When it comes to the AI technology and practical application, he's right on the cutting edge of it. And we have a collaboration that we're announcing today with Sandkelp. That he has a new product that he's launched. You'll see a Noblelift mobile mass reach truck in the Gather AI booth, demoing their new MHE Vision system, which is really cool to go check out. I would highly recommend going over to Gather AI and taking a look at that. But as part of that collaboration, we're going to offer free installation of the MHI Vision system on any Noblelift product throughout the remainder of the year to help them out and kind of pay it forward, just like I've been talking about.
Oh, wow. Very interesting. So two announcements here, two breaking news with Bill. We always appreciate him coming with the great announcements and the information, and obviously a lot of that industry experience too that you bring to the table. So really appreciate you coming by, joining us, and we'll be catching up with Bill at their booth a little later this week as well. So stay tuned for that on the regular podcast in the future. But Bill, appreciate you coming by, and definitely congratulations on the new role, and super exciting announcements with you here.
Thanks, Kevin. It's been great to talk with you as always. I'll catch up with you soon.
Definitely. We'll see you later this week. Hey guys, thank you so much for tuning into today's video here on our YouTube channel, the New Warehouse Podcast, and I appreciate you tuning in. If you liked what you saw, make sure you subscribe to our channel, and if you like this video in particular, make sure you like it as well. And if if you want to get this great t-shirt that you see in the video behind me, Warehouses Are Sexy, head to warehousesAreSexy.com and get your own.